Carl?
Yeah, the show's getting ready to go live. Actually, it's already live, so I'll just mute you and then stand by.
The trail of the 3rd Army and the 19th Tactical Air Command of the 8th Air Force is marked by more than 40,000 white crosses, 40,000 dead Americans.
We were young and soldiers called to dedicate our lives in the name of God and country. Do what's just for us, go do what's right. A hot band of brothers waiting on our chance to add one more page unto the victory dance. Here am I, Lord, send me, send me. Victory lies in the spirit of the lives of the men who died for me.
Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here am I. Send me.
Send me.
This is Michael Broderick, Marine Corps veteran, actor, and on keyboard member. You are listening to the New American Veteran on Vets on Media. Now here's Carl Monger.
Good afternoon. Today is August 5th, 2014. Let me readjust my microphone here so I'm not leaning all the way over. Thank you for listening. The New American Veteran is dedicated to those who said, here am I, send me, and we honor veterans, highlight those who have transitioned successfully, and identify resources that help veterans leverage their military experience into successful and rewarding lives after the military. Gallant Few's goal is to connect every new veteran with a hometown veteran mentor. The purpose of this is to help every veteran achieve a smooth, peaceful, and successful transition, thereby preventing veteran unemployment, homelessness, and suicide. We do this by creating and supporting a nationwide network of successfully transitioned veterans that engage locally with new veterans with the same military background now going through their own transition. We also seek to motivate communities all over the nation to take responsibility for veterans returning. The biggest failure that I see in communities out there is they think it's the government's job to train soldiers to be civilians again, and it's not. It's every community's job out there because every community is different, and the local situation needs to be adjusted so that it fits that veteran. So communities out there, we need you to take responsibility for veterans returning to your communities. The New American Veteran is now available on multiple platforms: YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, and Podbean. And if you watch our written blog, that's gallantfew.blogspot.com, you'll see links to all of those guys afterwards. I'll probably include them on this YouTube broadcast once I archive that as well. I want to say happy 224th birthday today to the U.S. Coast Guard. And if I knew the Coast Guard song, I would try and sing it, but I don't, so I'll save everybody that. And I also have my daughter sitting over across from here. She say hi, Michelle.
Hello, everybody.
So Michelle is co-hosting for me today, but she's sitting on the other side of the magic table because she doesn't want to be on screen today. Run Ranger Run is coming soon. We'll probably do the kickoff somewhere around the 1st of October, and that's just right around the corner in terms of planning time. So Run Ranger Run started with Ranger Corey 3 years ago when he ran from Columbus, Georgia, Fort Benning, to Indianapolis. And we've done that now as our signature main awareness and fundraising event 2 years in a row. 2015 is going to be the third year, and I'm excited about the things that are already coming and what we're going to be able to accomplish with that this upcoming year. So watch runrangerrun.com. You'll get more information about that as we get closer. I just learned yesterday that one of my board members, Michael Broderick, who is a Marine Corps veteran, he is redoing the poster project, or poster project version 2. Poster project version 1, 2 years ago, he bought a poster from the HBO show Band of Brothers, and it had a couple of autographs on it, and somebody suggested that he try and get as many of the original cast and as many of the original Band of Brothers as possible to sign it. And he ran around and he collected, it's like 3 dozen or so signatures, to include Tom Hanks and Spielberg. That poster he auctioned on eBay, and it raised like $4,600 for Gallon Fuel last year. It was amazing. Well, now he's doing it version 2, and the poster that he has selected for this is from the movie Black Hawk Down. And I've already gotten him in contact with some of my friends that were in Somalia when that happened. But watch as posterproject.com, watch as he starts putting this together, because it was pretty exciting to see what he did last year with the original Band of Brothers, and I think you'll really like it when you see that. Also, World War I, the 100th year anniversary. You know, nobody is left alive that actually fought in that conflict. Only kids during World War I are still alive to bring their memories of that. But it's always been something that I have found very close to me, and something that I haven't talked about on this show before. I'm going to see if I can hold these up and the camera can pick those up. Those are the dog tags of my great uncle Roy Jones. Roy was a corporal in the 81st Division out of Kansas, 89th Division, 89th. And he and I share the same birthday, only he was born 1885 or something like that, but on June 1st, which was kind of cool. So I always had a special connection to him because of that. And I also have, this is the compass that he carried when he was over in France, carried it through the trenches and brought it back home. And it looks like it's been burned or something on the outside, because it's got a nice area that's, maybe that's where it didn't rub off from the abrasion or stuff that was in his pocket. What was amazing to me about him, and the reason I want to talk about this, is because before I left for the military, I knew that he was a World War I veteran, but he never talked about it. He didn't talk about it with any of his friends, none of his family. And when I came back after Desert Storm, and I tell everybody that listens, I am not trying to give anybody the wrong impression. I got credit for jumping into a combat zone with the 1st Ranger Battalion, and it was a live fire training exercise. We did a show of force mission. We flew from Savannah, Georgia, changed planes in Madrid, did an in-flight refuel, and then we jumped into Ali al-Salam airfield. But it was during the defense and reconstruction of Kuwait phase of Desert Storm, so it technically was in Desert Storm. So all the Rangers from 1st Ranger Battalion that jumped in there can wear the right shoulder 1st Ranger Battalion scroll, but no CIV or jump star or anything like that. So, but when I got home after that, and he knew that I had been deployed into a combat zone, he sat down with me, and at this time he was probably 96, 97 years old, and he just wanted to talk about some of his experiences in the war. And as he did, and he gave me these things, he told me a story about hearing one of his fellow soldiers screaming out in pain after a German mortar or artillery barrage. And he said he was hunkered down in a hole, and he could tell the rounds came in at a pretty precise pace. You know, the Germans are good for precision. So he counted in between rounds, and when he knew that he had a 15 or a 20-second delay, he ran over, grabbed his buddy, and drug him back into the hole. And I said, that's absolutely amazing. Were you awarded a medal for valor? And he almost recoiled like I'd punched him in the face. And he said, I didn't do anything brave. He said that those medals were for soldiers that really did something. So I thought that was interesting, and especially in a culture now where everybody comes home with a Bronze Star. And not to say that they didn't earn it. I don't have the right to say that because I wasn't in that situation. but it sure seems like there weren't not nearly as many soldiers back then that were recognized for the heroics that they did. So maybe we've gotten better about that. Two more announcements, and then I'll get ready to bring on my first guest. First one is airbornerangerinthesky.com. We rolled out kind of a soft launch about 2 months ago, this website, where our goal is to provide a platform that every Ranger that has ever passed away for any reason can be memorialized on airbornerangerinthesky.com. It doesn't matter, I mean it matters, but as far as the site goes, a Ranger can be listed on there if they died in combat, if they died in training, or if they died in a car accident after they left active duty, or if they died in a nursing home at the age of 100, any Ranger that's passed away. And you can go on there, you can create a free account. You have to create an account for yourself because we want to make sure that you control the content that you're putting up there for your Ranger. We don't want anybody to just go on there and post pictures that could end up being embarrassing or make somebody angry or anything else like that. So we have an approval process where we look at them before we publish them. And my goal is that, and the intent is for this to forever be free for Rangers, families, and friends to be able to memorialize their Rangers. So I hope that 100 years down the road, my great-great-great-great-grandson or daughter goes into this website and gets to read about my service as a Ranger, because I think to be able to pull that kind of history back up and to memorialize every Ranger, not just those that died in combat or in a training exercise, but every Ranger, that will be a historical repository for information going forward. So we're very proud that we're able to do that. airbornerangerinthesky.com or arits.org, arits.org, and you can create your free profile and set up a page there. Okay, last announcement, and this is a sad one. I don't have any names yet, but I saw in the news about an hour ago that there was a shooting inside an Afghan ministry building, and an American 2-star general was killed, and 15 other, to include a 1-star German general, were wounded. I don't know names, I don't know units, I don't know anything like that yet, but you know, whenever there's one casualty, there's a lot of others that are hurting physically and emotionally, and this is going to be a real tough one. I believe that this general is probably the highest ranking person after the terrorist attacks, because there was a 3-star general that died in the Pentagon, but I think after 9/11, this is probably the highest ranking casualty that we've had. So it's a very, very sobering thing to think about. And, you know, I think the quicker that we get our forces out of there and let them figure out what they're going to do is probably the better. All right, let's do a quick station identification, and then we'll bring Felix on and make sure that I've got too many computer screens going. I was about to click on the wrong one. Let's try that.
Hi, this is Matt Eversman. You're listening to Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran, on Vets on Media.
Okay, now, right before I bring Felix on, I'm going to ask everybody to just take a quick moment of silence, 10 or 15 seconds, and let's remember this 2-star general who is yet unnamed, as well as anybody else that's been wounded or injured in training this week. All right, let me see if I can get Felix on the line here. Hello, Felix, are you there? I can see his face. But oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
There he is. Hey, Felix, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Carl.
All right, Felix Zayas is Director of Tactical Operations at EXOS, and he is a major in the U.S. Army Reserve. He's a graduate of the United States Military Academy, and prior to that, he was enlisted and served in the 75th Ranger Regiment. Felix has been a very important part of, a very important component of the Ranger Network and Gallant Fuse work, especially in Arizona. So on a number of levels, Felix, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right, so tell me a little bit about your military background. How'd you go from being a Ranger to go to West Point and end up being a Major?
So it's a pretty fun story. I'm actually an Army brat, so both my parents were military officers, and didn't quite have the academic focus in high school, so I had a delayed entry contract, and got the Ranger contract right out of high school. So went straight off to the Ranger Regiment following completion of Airborne, and while I was there, you know, trying to keep up with the team leaders and squad leaders, I had a platoon leader who happened to be a West Point football team captain. And every platoon he went to, he would look at 2 enlisted soldiers that he thought would make good officers, and he'd ask them if they wanted to become officers. If they said yes, he'd help them on the process. So that's, kind of started the journey for me.
Oh, very nice. Had a mentor early on that got a hold of you.
Mm-hmm. And one probably well known in the community, Colonel Work. So.
Sure. That's excellent. So, how was being a cadet in the military academy after serving as an enlisted ranger?
I would say it was very humbling. West Point is really focused on three pillars, as most people know: military, physical, and academic. And academic absolutely reigns supreme. So, for me, it was very humbling because I just started to really reap the rewards of pushing ahead and doing a good job as a ranger, as a team leader, and graduating ranger school. And then I switched over to the academy environment, which is co-ed and very academic, with a lot of focus on military and service. And so for me, it really I would say focused on my weaknesses, but allowed me to have some buffer because I had given such a solid base coming from the regiment with the military and physical aspect.
Tell me a little bit about what you did. What was your first active duty assignment after West Point?
So originally, after West Point, I went to flight school. So I went down to Fort Rucker and spent a couple years there almost, and was in that process where I just recognized that for me, and where I was at, flying while it was fun and I was in a really special program, I really wanted a little more connection with the troops, and so I was able to kind of cross-branch and ended up going to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, where I helped stand up really the only unit of its kind at the time, the 09 Lemur program, which, as people may or may not know, houses all the native linguists in the U.S. Army that are native-born speakers that choose to be soldiers. So a really dynamic opportunity where you can really help soldiers become soldiers, but also bridge a gap in a skill set that our Army was really in need of.
Did you pick up an additional language skill while you were there?
I actually did not. I grew up in Germany as an Army brat, so I'm now at the point where I will not claim that I can speak it well, but it's surprising what comes back when you're in and around the locals.
When I was in college, I took a semester of Russian because I thought that'd come in pretty handy when we went to war, and then when I went on active duty, and nothing was pointing towards Russia, so I've forgotten all of it now. It looks like it might come in handy at some point in the future to know that.
Absolutely, it's the circle.
I know a couple of cuss words. That's about it. Okay, so before we get into EXOS, so you went back there to Arizona. You left active duty and decided to stay in Arizona. Was it a work thing or a personal thing, or?
It was a work thing. While I was on active duty on my last deployment in Iraq, I happened to meet my wife on eHarmony, and so I knew after that deployment I would be making that transition, and so we kind of started looking at the right opportunity for me and my soon-to-be family, and we found that opportunity in Tempe, and it was selling night vision, laser, and thermal equipment, and I was managing their European operations, and so that kind of brought us out here, and then while in that process, my wife eventually got accepted into getting her doctorate in physical therapy at the top school in the state. And so that really kind of solidified the last 4 years for my wife and I in Arizona. And now that I'm with EXOS, everything really seems to be coming together quite nicely.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about EXOS. What is EXOS?
So EXOS is it's a human performance company. The way I typically explain it to people is most people are familiar with the NFL and the combine. Well, we are well known for training the top athletes in that selection process, i.e. the top 3 of the combine were trained by us and 11 in the first round. And our president, Mark Verstegen, just got back from the World Cup. We were supporting 2 countries in that, U.S. and Germany, and so a pretty good track record there. And so at the end of the day, what we do is we try to maximize people's human performance. Traditionally, it really starts with the physical nature, but we've noticed you can't really talk physical unless you're talking what we like to say that is the 4 pillars of performance: mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery. And that's what really attracted me to this organization, because as my background in and out of the community over the years, and my brother's was in 175. My cousin replaced me in the same platoon in 375. My uncle is a Marine, Force Recon Ranger School graduate, and so we have a lot of ties to that community. So I know as a tactical athlete, there's no problem with pushing themselves and really hitting that next level. But some of the points that EXOS talked on, especially the recovery piece, was something that was missing, and it's really nice to really be able to help our guys and gals get to that next level, and also kind of the intangibles that benefit their families too.
Yeah, back in when I came in on active duty, it seemed like the going mindset for being a better soldier was you're going to have to road march, so you got to road march, so you just road march, and the PT test has push-ups and sit-ups in it, and the only way you can get better at those is do push-ups and sit-ups. So that's like we ran, did push-ups, sit-ups, and road marched, and that was it. And I think there's a lot of guys like me that carry around a couple of creaks and aches and pains because of that stuff. But the mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery, can you talk about maybe a little bit about each one of those items, what that means?
Absolutely. So with our focus really being on elite athletes, whether it's tactical or professional, we kind of address that mindset piece. What are you doing in the 24 hours that you're not training? What are you doing to set yourself up for success? So we have mindset coaches, and a couple of the teams right now that we are mindset coaches for happen to be Florida State and Alabama, just to kind of give you a little idea. And so we help the individual athlete dial in all the aspects of their game so that they can really get max performance, whether it's on the pitch, or it's on preparing for an exercise. When it kind of comes to nutrition, that's really got a lot of attention over the last few years as people start to really recognize that what you put into your body really matters. We're continuing to push the envelope, and where a lot of people have heard of diet, when we tend to look at food, we don't look at food from an aspect of diet. We tend to look at it as fuel, and so that's what we commonly refer to as it's fuel. Fuel to get you to that next level, fuel to get you in the top performance for whatever mission you're about to take. And so when people are going through the day, it's not what am I eating, it's what am I using to fuel my body to accomplish whatever given task. Movement is another interesting topic, especially for those of us that have kind of grown up in the military, where this is what you do. But when you really break it down, why do you do what you do? Should you be doing a hamstring stretch when you're doing some static or functional movement, or when you're doing a short-term agility burst? So what we've been able to do is we've been able to develop programs that allow the individual athlete to maximize whatever function they're going to do by preparing their body with the correct movements and techniques. And then when it comes to recovery, a lot of it's really that rest. What are you doing to recovery? Are you doing hot baths, cold baths? How much sleep are you getting? And all of this is all merged with just analytics. As most of the athletes know on the professional side, numbers matter. Well, we've taken that and we've expanded that into just not what is the professional athlete looking at and monitoring, but also what is the tactical athlete doing. And it's really, really been empowering to see other units that have a very high selection criteria start to incorporate our methodology so that with the constraint on time and resources, they're picking the best people for the most longevity that will probably that will have the least amount of injuries. So it's kind of a little snapshot of the four pillars.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a little there's a blog post on the Havoc Journal from this last week that talks about the Ranger Regiment and what sets it apart from others. And part of that is the mindset, the process that they go through, selection, and then the ability that they are able to train, like you're talking about, in a specific way for specific things, but in a very scientifically driven way. So you know when these kids come out of RASP and they go into battalion, they're going to deploy within a matter of months. Sometimes it's within a matter of days, and they go straight into the fight. And there is no time for them to spend a whole lot of time learning and getting accustomed. They got to hit the ground literally running and gunning from day one. And that's driven a lot of what EXOS does now. Is that correct?
Correct. One of the things that we do is we offer solutions, and because of those solutions that we offer, one of the ones is we work heavily with SOCOM, and that has given us the ability to take what we've learned and really translate it to the various units, i.e., if we're working with the Ranger Regiment, they have a very select and specific pipeline. They're looking to achieve X, Y, Z. We're able to, with our coaches, develop a system and a model that helps them maximize their goals. And everyone's unique, and that's kind of what's cool about us, is it's not a cookie cutter solution. It's really, what are your needs and how do we come up with a tangible solution that will help you achieve your goals.
Is this something that you think long-term, is it going to drive new record-setting performances in human performance, like the way under sub 4-minute mile, or the... Hey, Zachary, hang on there, buddy. I'm going to mute you. You're a couple minutes early, but just hang in there for a second. So with the advances in the mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery, do you think that we're going to see new levels in human performance?
I think you're seeing it to various degrees, just because you're able to really dial in the whole person, from movement to rest, right nutrition, and also getting increased vetting of supplements that they really are good for the body. But I think at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that we're excited about is not only are you going to be able to probably achieve higher levels, it's really the consistency and the longevity that we really see of those operators and those tactical athletes that have in their... One of the things that we say is, it's not just about your service, it's also about your life after service. And so what we get excited about is, we get excited about having people not only do their job to the best of their ability, but when that time is up, move on and transition to being a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, and have a little less creaks and dings.
Now, is there a way that somebody who's left active duty now, no longer in the system, can connect with EXOS? Do you have areas where you can dial into a workout, or...
Absolutely. They can go onto our webpage, and through there they'll have various programs, and if they're on the tactical side, they're kind of broken down to military, firefighter, law enforcement, and first responder, and all they got to do is reach out to us, and we'll be able to contact them and help them come up with a program, whether they're a college student looking to get into the Air Force, or whether they're a seasoned SWAT veteran looking to develop a program for his unit, or they're a active duty Army unit that has heard about us but doesn't necessarily have us. Right now we're very engaged within the special operation community and continuing to influence and educate the rest of the population.
Nice. Say again your website.
The website is www.teamexos.com.
And in parting here, before we conclude, do you have maybe one tip or tidbit you'd like to offer to a soldier that's getting ready to leave active duty today?
I would say it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about mentors, is hunt down the success stories out there. Don't be afraid to ask, hey, what did you do? Pick the brains of various success stories so that you can actually put together a plan that would work for you in your life situation.
Very nice. Well, thank you for being on the New American Veteran. Thanks for everything.
No problem, Carl. Look forward to talking with you.
Yeah, your work with veterans out there is priceless, so I greatly appreciate it.
Looking forward to doing more. Take care.
All right. Thank you. All right, I'm going to, in case he wants to hang around, I'll just hide him for a minute there, and let's see if we can get Zachary on here. Zachary, are you there? I see your face down there. Are you on?
Yep, I see you, Carl.
Oh, great. There we go. All right, now I should have asked you this before, but I stood up and I didn't. Is your last name pronounced Oha or Oja?
It's actually Oya.
Oya, okay, so I didn't get it right either way. Oya, okay. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if you have a speaker or something behind you, maybe.
Okay. Let's just scoot a little bit closer and see if this works.
Good. Well, I can hear you loud and clear. So I wanted to do before before we talk, I'm going to mute you for just another second. I'm going to play the video. I think I can pull that up here and do that. So bear with me just for a moment. I have to see, where did I leave it? Looks like I stopped the broadcast, so I'm going to restart the broadcast. So stand by and share the screen.
This one night, my crew and I were called to a scene where a person was basically we about our way of getting her up. We ended up just
Made my job.
All right, I'm getting a bunch of feedback moments. Zachary, can you mute yourself for just a moment on your end? Yeah, if you can do that. Now let me see, because it was kind of stepping on the video that I was trying to play, and back that guy up, and let's see if we can start it again. I'm going to redo the screen share, so let me just do a complete and total reboot of this guy here. Sometimes I can play a video through this. It works beautifully. Other times I try to play a video and it is really annoying.
This one night, my crew and I were called to a scene where a person has just basically fallen to the ground and needs assistance getting up. And we went about our way of getting her up like we always did, and I ended up dislocating her shoulder. After that call, I came back and knew there had to be a better way to lift patients. I'm Jeff Oja. I'm the creator of Sampson Strap.
And it's something that we use on our department since pretty much since its inception. For probably the last 10 years, we have it on all our heavy apparatus.
Before that, it was just, we were just using our hands, and we were just trying to support the patient as best we could and help pull them up by their arms or, under their armpits.
Yeah, the previous methods are a little tough because you would use their sheets, their chairs, or just try to manhandle them by pulling on their arms or their legs, causing some bruising and pain. And
it got to a point where we thought, that there was a better way to do it. Using the Sampson strap, it's made my job a lot easier.
My eldest son came up with the name Sampson Strap because of the biblical character Samson, being strong.
I've had the chance to see with and without it. The difference is pretty significant.
On top of being a firefighter, I'm also a personal trainer. One of the things that injures firefighters is lifting. You could have a career-ending injury based off of how you're lifting a patient. And so I don't let my crew lift without using the straps.
I'd say we'd use it at least once a week.
You probably actually use daily on a department our size.
We carry several different types of moving devices. This is one of the more effective tools that we use.
During emergency situations, time is everything. It has helped my coworkers perform their job better. My goal with the Sampson Strap is to bring it to other markets where it could be as much help as it has the fire service and EMS, hospitals, nursing homes, even to the general public.
We've been using it for 10 years and it's still lasting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's vital for any crew to have.
Okay, so I had to improvise a little bit and just show the slideshow of the images that you sent to me. Now, if you muted yourself, unmute. Let's get you on here. All right, very good. Welcome, Zachary, to the show.
Thanks for having me, Carl.
Okay, so you are a 3-year veteran, and you left active duty pretty recently.
Yeah, that's correct. I actually just had my final out date was in May from active duty.
May of this year?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, May of 2014.
Yes, so you are extremely fresh. Congratulations on your transition, and thanks for your service. How many combat deployments did you take?
I did 2 combat deployments to Afghanistan.
2 to Afghanistan. And did you have anything like the Sampson Strap when you were deployed?
No, I actually wish we did. We used them at the NTC, the National Training Facility in California. We used them out there when we just went out there about a year and a half ago, and they worked awesome. But I wish we would have had them in country, though.
So have you made a couple of phone calls to USSOCOM or the regiment to see if they can buy a bunch of them? Uh-oh, I may have lost him. Zach disappeared. Let's see if we can get him back. I wondered if some of that feedback that I was getting there was maybe a signal that wasn't working very well. Usually, however, it's me that has the trouble with the signal, not the guest that I'm speaking to. AT&T finally, believe it or not, they said that instead of me paying for the 45 megabit service, that I needed to go back down to the 19 megabit service because it was sending so much data through my internet line that it was all clogging up like I don't know, too much water trying to go down a drain, and it overflows and backs up, and that's what was going on with my internet connection. So, all right, Zachary, I see you're back there. Sorry, we lost you for a second. All right, there you are. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? You should be good to go. Nope, he's gone again. We're having a little issue getting Zach online here. I want to find out more about what he's done with this business and his role as sales. I believe it's a family-owned business with the Sampson strap. But yeah, so they. All right, Zachary, are you back? I can see you. Can you hear me? I can see you.
Can you hear me, Carl?
I can. Good, good.
So I just had a in the next room jumped on a conference call, and it took away some of our internet bandwidth. So hopefully this will work.
I understand how that happens. Believe me, I was talking about that while you were off the line. Okay, so before we lose you again, you transitioned out just a few months ago, and Sampson Strap, is that the name of the company, or is that a product that the company sells?
It's the name of the company and the product as well. We're pretty much, we own the proprietary patent on it, so it's just the company and that product is just one right now, Carl.
Very nice. Now, your dad is, when he talked on the video, he's the president of a family-owned business?
Say that one more time, Carl.
Is it a family-owned business?
Yeah, as of right now, it's just me and my father, which is kind of how I want to keep it until we get too big, and then hopefully we can start hiring some veterans that need some jobs out there.
Oh, that is awesome. So what was it that made you decide you wanted to be sales and marketing? I mean, besides the family thing, there might be a little twisting of the arm that goes on with that, but to go from being a ranger to being a sales guy, that's not the path you typically think of.
Yeah, it's definitely a big transition coming from active duty, U.S. Army Ranger to a sales environment. It's definitely a big jump. But I jumped into it just because I believe in the product, and we've seen just great success with some of the people we've been able to get it to. So I think there's a huge market for it right now. We've got it's currently being used in Washington State for the mudslide relief efforts, trying to move debris with some of the nonprofit agencies we got, and they're just doing tests right now, and hopefully we can get some good feedback.
Yeah, so the pictures that I showed were individuals being picked up and evacuated, but so you can move tree stumps and other kinds of things with it, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, I think we've just touched the tip of the iceberg with just the first responder market, and we can use it in, active shooter scenarios. We can use it in, mask house scenarios. We can also use it just in, debris removal, officer down scenarios in some sort of breach environment. I think we've just barely have touched the iceberg as far as our total reach we could achieve with this product.
What do you find bringing from the Ranger environment to the sales environment? What things are helping you in the sales world?
Oh, just just not quitting, because it's definitely a struggle. You'll get some people on the line that would be a good fit for them, but they just they're busy. They're business owners as well. They don't have the time of day for you. So it's just that never say quit attitude, and just put one foot in front of the other and just driving on and getting it done.
It's got to be really, really tough, because when I get unsolicited sales calls, I don't like those because they bite into my day, and my day is pretty full. So, we'll have to talk about some techniques to get past that, because that's probably the toughest part, is the rejection that you get.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's very few ways to work around it, via phone or email. If they don't want it or they just don't want to give you the time of day, you can't really break past that. And especially with the first responders and the hospice and the medical administration market, we've been just running into a bunch of bureaucratic red tape as far as product acquisition goes. So that's another whole roadblock we're trying to overcome right now.
Is there a story behind how Sampson strap got invented?
Yeah, it was my father was 25 plus years in the fire service. He jumped around some different departments towards the end of his thing, but he made it when he was at Salt Lake City County. And basically, they just been picking up, overweight people or elderly people, and the way they've been doing it was just underneath the arms, and it just wasn't working. They were, people were getting their skin torn, they were dislocating shoulders, the firefighters themselves were injuring their backs. So it just would kind of bridge that gap between, where the backboard can't fit into close quarters or awkward, extraction scenarios. The Sampson strap, will just slide right underneath them, and it has those handles that are placed on the outsides, and it just makes it. It definitely bridges that gap between just trying to manually pick someone up or a rigid backboard or Skedco type litter.
How do you guys distribute your product? Do you have companies that represent you, or do you do everything direct?
With my father being the firefighter for as long as he was, he's not the salesman. So with me, my recent transition, I've just been putting boots to the ground and just getting after it and just sending mass emails out to different firefighters. I've actually got a couple of distributors that we're just working out some details right now. But currently we just have one hospice distributor, and then on our website you can just buy it now directly from us.
How much does it cost?
It's $99 right now, but we're looking at adjusting our price point just depending on some of the market research we've been conducting. But yeah, as of right now, we're open to definitely to people that buy a couple straps. We can definitely throw in some I guess just a bulk purchase discount.
How does the price compare to a backboard?
To a backboard? Oh, it's at least a quarter. And a lot of the lifts for obese or hospice patients, most of them are electric, and they run anywhere from $900 up to $3,000 or $4,000. So for $100, being able to bridge that gap between a rigid backboard or some sort of mechanical hoist that requires 3 or 4 people to utilize, the cost makes sense in that environment.
Yeah, that's awesome. That video that you sent me, when I compile this, I'll include that so people can watch the video, and I think you have some YouTube videos that I'll include as well. What's the one thing, you haven't been off active duty for very long, what's the one thing that surprised you leaving active duty that you missed that you didn't think you were going to miss?
Just the countless hours upon hours sitting next to your buddy, when you'd rather be home or at the beach or, working out or something when you're at work. I definitely miss just being, just the camaraderie and the brotherhood that I had in Range Regiment and the military. I just miss that because you wouldn't think you'd miss just sitting around, in a parachute harness waiting for the weather to clear to go get a jump on. But I definitely miss those times, just sharing some of the stories and the shenanigans that that come together when you got a bunch of Rangers sitting around board.
Well, yeah, you're so close to someone else. You have constant affirmation because you prove yourself every day, and they prove themselves every day. And then you go into a sales role, and everybody tells you no and hangs up the phone and doesn't want to talk to you. That's tough.
Yeah, it's a 180-degree difference from as far as the environment goes in sales. It's dog-eat-dog world. You feel like you're kind of pissing people off or stepping on people's toes, just trying to get them, get the time of day from them sometimes. Whereas, like you said,
sure,
heavily vetted in the Range Regiment, they'll give you, the time of the day if you're a respectable guy.
Well, the way that we got connected here, I saw you post something on the LinkedIn Ranger discussion group.
Yep.
And I think it was something to the effect of, we have this great product, we're trying to get the word out. I kind of wanted to talk about real quick what the value of something like that, the networking groups that are out there. Are you finding that that's being of some value as you try to build that business?
Oh, the networking capabilities of LinkedIn, or even just fellow Rangers on Facebook, I've seen a lot more traction and gained a lot more leads and interest just by the networks. Because outbound cold calls or different trying to hit up different distributors, they don't know you. You haven't been vetted in their eyes, like you said. They just don't want to give you the time of day. But just definitely the LinkedIn contacts, with Range Regiment, United States Army Ranger Fund, and as well as Special Operations Command, I've seen great traction. Just awesome networking capabilities that have been just open to me through LinkedIn.
That's one of the values of that is you're pre-vetted, you're pre-selected, you're part of that community, so they're much more likely to listen to you if you're trying to talk to them about a product or something that might benefit their business or their person. So that's a great, anybody that's leaving active duty, you've got to go get into a group of people like that from whatever organization you come from, because it's invaluable to make those connections and keep those connections. I see you nodding, but the camera doesn't hear you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Those networking connections that you made while in the military are invaluable once you get out. Like I said, I've seen more traction, more interest, and more help from fellow Rangers than I have anybody else.
One of the things, I didn't plan on talking about this, but we're going pretty quick in the interview. One of the things that a lot of guys that leave the Ranger Regiment struggle with is when they make that transition, maintaining communication with their buddies has been difficult for them because there's a sense of you quit or you couldn't cut it anymore or your priorities changed and you know they're going back to war and you self-selected out of that. Are you going through any of that kind of stuff? I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but.
Yeah, I actually left Ranger Regiment about 2 years ago, and I was a pre-Ranger instructor at Fort Hood, Texas, as well as I ran some cadet command training operations through Fort Knox, Kentucky. So I've been disconnected from, as far as being organically attached to Ranger Regiment. It's been about 2 years. So since that time, I've been able to transition with it, but definitely, I mean, it was something I dealt with for at least a year or two, just thinking that you kind of abandoned your brothers, wondering if you made the right decision in your choice of career. That your career opportunities and whatnot, you just feel like, yeah, you betrayed, the people that gave you a home and gave you brotherhood. But, at the end of the day, just maintaining the contacts with the good friends you had and some of the, the more, the very respectable chain of command that I had, just keeping contact with them has kept me focused and kept me, just driving on and fighting the good fight.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical and almost universal when a Ranger leaves the regiment. I suppose it's universal when a SEAL leaves the Navy or when a Special Forces soldier leaves SF. When you leave that environment, you have a tendency to not stay connected to the community because of the things that you talked about. And those connections are the ones that will help you the most, and they're the ones that want to stay connected to you the most. So don't make yourself go through that isolation phase. It's important for everybody out there to know that. Reach back across to that community, reach out to the alumni community from that organization, and it will help you significantly.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, junior NCOs or senior NCOs that get out of the military, they feel like they can't reach out to those, those retired senior NCOs that were in their organization because, they still feel like there's a rank structure in the civilian world. Whereas in reality, everybody I've ran into that was a sergeant major, first sergeant, anybody, they've been almost more helpful because they've been out for at least a couple of years, and they've usually got a family and a good base of support, so they can usually pour a lot of assets and resources into helping you out and finding the right places to get in contact with local different groups, the VA, all the transition, the necessary transition points of contact. The senior guys are usually some of the best ones to turn to.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Okay, so tell us again, how can somebody, if they want to contact you or they want to learn how to buy the Sampson strap, where do they go?
www.sampsonstrap.com, and it's SAMSON.
Sampsonstrap.com. Okay, I'll include that in the show too. I think I already have that on there on the YouTube page, but I'll make sure it's on the other ones. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate you, and good luck in your sales endeavors. And I've already got some ideas kicking around in my brain. I'm going to get a hold of you here in a couple of days and talk about what we might be able to do to help you out in Texas.
Sounds good. I look forward to it, Carl. I really appreciate it.
All right. You take care. Rangers lead the way.
Good way, all the way.
All right. Let me go back over here to my script real quick and see if there's anything else that I cover before I'm done. Madison Rising, I had the lead singer from Madison Rising on the show last week, and he's a Navy veteran, and they've got this Madison Rising 10 million listen challenge or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the link is. I need to look that up so I can say that before the end of the show. But they did this Star Spangled Banner, and I'm going to play it now if this is going to cooperate with me because I like their rendition so much. I just want to play it before the end of the show. All right, so let's see if this will work.
Oh, say, can you see
so proudly we hailed, and the twilight lies gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the red marks we once were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, moved through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, Zayas, that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the praise, and the home of the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save, this land of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, say, just that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the brave, and the
So with StarSpangled-Banner-Challenge.com, StarSpangled-Banner-Challenge.com. Make sure you go and watch that. It's a pretty cool video. I didn't see how many watches they're up to now, but I think it's probably over 6 or 7 million. I want to say thank you again to Felix Zayas and Zachary for being on the show today. Thank you guys for your service to our country, and best of luck in your business endeavors. At the end of each show, I want to put my end slide up here. At the end of each show, we always play taps, and every time YouTube sends me a thing that says it's a copyright violation, which is really irritating because I pulled it from the U.S. Army public website where they have publicly available. Shoot, we paid for it with our tax dollars. Soldiers that have played taps on Army equipment. It's an Army song. It's ours. So I'm going to play it again. I don't care if YouTube gets mad at me for doing it or not. But anyway, thanks for being listening to the show today. For those of you that are watching, I appreciate you being here very much. And remember, you can also listen to the archive. Go to iTunes and search Gallant Few in the podcasts, and you'll find the last almost 4 years now shows that are out there. I appreciate everybody listening. God bless the United States of America. God bless and protect the veterans and the men and women that serve our country, and most especially, God bless and protect the Rangers of the 75th Ranger Regiment, those rough men that stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm. That beautiful rendition of Taps is a public domain recording created by a soldier or employee of the United States Army and as such is not eligible for copyright protection in the United States. Kenny Thomas' song Send Me is used by permission of Kenny Thomas. All other work or recording is original work or used by permission. This has been a presentation of Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran on the Vets on Media Global Network.